MMORPGs are some of the most complex games ever created, living worlds where thousands of players explore, fight, trade, and create memories together, sometimes for years. They usually require teams of dozens, sometimes hundreds, of artists, programmers, and designers and technical specialists working together for years. But what happens when one developer decides to take on that challenge? Not by trying to do everything manually, of course, but by building tools, systems, and workflows that make development possible. Hello everyone, I am Doxia and this is Murk Online, an indie MMORPG inspired by the classic online world many of us spend countless hours in, focusing on the features that made those games memorable without trying to reinvent the wheel. And on this channel I'll be documenting the journey along the way of building this world in public, exploring the art, the code, and everything in between. During my youth, I was always fascinated by online games like Murk Online, Cabal Online, and I wanted to understand how those worlds were built. So around 15 years ago I started learning 3D and programming. Over the years I ended up working in motion graphics, visual effects and technical art, where I spent a lot of time building tools, procedural systems and pipelines using software like Houdini. In 2019 I started this channel to share what I was learning, especially around Houdini, workflows and procedural techniques. Teaching and sharing knowledge with other artists quickly became something I really enjoy doing. You can check my website, all of my work over the years, and check over 60 tutorials that I've released to help the art community. About 2 years ago I decided to challenge myself again. Together with a friend we started working on our first commercial indie game called Folly of the Wizards, a 2D roguelike. It was a completely different experience from the work I had done before. Game development forced us to think about game design, gameplay systems, production planning, and shipping the finished product. After months of development, experimentation, and learning, we managed to release the game. That experience taught me a lot about how complex game development really is. But it also reminded me of a dream I had when I first started learning 3D and programming. For many years I've had the dream of building my own MMORPG. The idea of creating a living world where players can explore, progress and interact together has always fascinated me. Those virtual worlds where we, players, created many core memories that we hold with our deepest love. MMOs were actually one of the reasons I started learning both art and programming in the first place. And now, after almost 15 years of experience working with tools, art and code, I've decided to pursue that dream. This project is called Murk Online. Now, MMOs, RPGs are massive projects. They usually require huge teams, thousands of assets, complex gameplay systems, and years of development. So, after all these years working in production, I'm very aware of the one important reality. One person simply cannot build all of that manually. Trying to do everything by hand would take an unrealistic amount of time. So if this project is going to move forward, it needs to be approached differently. Instead of trying to build everything manually, the goal is to work smarter and build efficient workflows. That means building tools and systems that help generate assets, automate repetitive tasks, and speed up production. Instead of creating every single asset by hand, I want to explore how tools can help create variations, modular systems, and procedural content. This is where a lot of my experience with technical art and procedural tools becomes very valuable. So throughout this journey, I'll be asking a lot of questions. Questions like how can I use Houdini to generate terrain, environments, or sets of assets like rocks and props to fill our world? How can Substance Designer help create flexible materials and textures that automatically generate variations? How can I design modular assets in Blender so environments and game items can be built and reused efficiently? And how can I reuse existing assets in creative ways? For example, instead of creating every spell effect from scratch, how can I reuse textures, materials, and game assets to build an entirely new visual effects for a new spell? But Murk Online isn't just about art pipelines. There is also the entire development side of the game. How do we design the gameplay systems to make an MMORPG work? Things like movement, combat, spells, inventories, progression systems, and player interactions. And how do we make all of that work in multiplayer? Because coding a multiplayer game is way different than coding and planning for a single player game. For Murk Online, I'm working with Unity, using Fusion for networking and PlayFab for backend service. At least that is my plan for now. So part of this journey will also involve exploring how to build scalable game systems and multiplayer features. Along the way, I'll be creating tutorials and sharing what I learned while implementing things like movement systems, spellcasting, RPG mechanics, inventory systems, and multiplayer interactions. The goal here is to explore both sides of development, art pipelines and game engineering. We also live in a time where technology is evolving incredibly fast. There are more tools available than ever before, and many of them can help improve productivity and development workflows. That includes things like procedural tools, automation, and even AI-assisted technology. And just to be clear, I'm not interested in using AI to replace the creative process or do the work for me. But when technology can assist your work, speed up parts of your workflow and help you focus on the important parts of development, then it's something worth exploring. So part of this project will also involve experimenting with how modern tools can help improve efficiency. Of course, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. If you look at the latest MMO games over the past years, many new projects like New World, Ashes of Creation and so on try to reinvent everything from scratch and often struggle to capture what made older MMORPGs special in the first place. Meanwhile, players keep returning to the classic games they love. I did the same. I returned to MMO Online, Cabal Online, and a few other old games. So instead of trying to make new mechanics, my goal with Murk Online is to learn from the games that inspire me the most, to take the features that worked, understand why players love them, and also learn from the things that didn't work so well. This project is very much a personal challenge to design and build an MMORPG that I would genuinely love to play myself and spend countless of hours in it. A world where progression feels rewarding, systems feels meaningful, and where players can spend hours exploring, fighting, trading, and creating memorable experience together. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to build systems and technology, it's to build a world where players can create memories. Right now, Murk Online is still in a very early stage. At the moment, I have a basic multiplayer prototype using assets from the Unity store, where characters can move around, cast spells, and interact in a shared environment. It's a small step, but it's the starting point. From here, the goal is to slowly build the tools, systems, and pipelines that will allow this world to grow. This channel will document the entire process, the experiments, the success, the mistakes, the tools, and the systems that slowly bring Murk Online to life. Some videos will focus more on technical art workflows, procedural tools, and asset pipelines. Others will focus on game development and programming, exploring how systems like combat, inventory management, or multiplayer interactions are built. The goal here is to share everything I learned along the way. For those of you who want to get more involved in the project, I've also updated my Patreon. That's a place where people who are excited about Murk Online can participate more closely in the development, sharing ideas, giving feedback, and eventually taking part in early playable tests. If you are an artist or developer, you will also find tutorials, project files, deeper breakdowns of how different systems, tools, and assets are built throughout the development of the game. But even if you are not an artist or developer and simply want to support the project and see it succeed, your support really helps keep the development moving forward. Even with the smallest tier, you can be part of the journey, follow development more closely, and have your voice heard as Murk Online evolves. Your support truly means a lot, and it helps make projects like this possible. You can know more about this on my website or my Patreon, links in the description. In the next video, I'll dive deeper into the vision and concept behind Murk Online. I'll walk you through the current game design document, share the ideas behind the world, and talk about the games that inspire me and help shape the direction of this project. We will also start exploring the mechanics and systems that could define the game, and how I'm currently thinking about implementing them. It is still very early in development, and many things will evolve over time, so I'd really love to hear your thoughts and feedback as the project grows. Building an MMORPG is a huge challenge. But challenges are also what makes projects like this exciting. There will be a lot to learn along the way, a lot of problems to solve, a lot of systems to design, and the best part is that I'll be sharing the entire journey with you and the community. So if you are interested in game development, procedural tools, technical art, or simply curious to see how this world evolves, consider subscribing to the channel and following the journey. And if you'd like to be part of development, sharing ideas, giving feedback, and helping shape this virtual world, you can also support the project on Patreon. The links are in the description below. Your support means a lot and truly helps keep the project moving forward. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome to the journey of building Murk Online.